Hi, guys. I'm Gail,
I'm Russell.
and welcome to another episode of our podcast. I just had this really cool idea or thought or comment that came from a client, and I'm going to use it as the premise to start this podcast. Am I going to let someone rage bait me for the rest of my life? And the topic I'd like to explore here is, are you willing to let somebody else, something, someone, some event out there dictate how you're going to feel or what emotions are going on for you? Or can you be responsible in your own life for how you feel, what's going on, the reaction you're having, all of that kind of stuff? So Russell and I are going to have a conversation. He didn't know what we were about to record on either, so I've just dropped it in his plate. We're actually going to go through and actually talk about this, because I think what happens for people is they be at the detriment of somebody else's, how they show up, an event that happens, their reaction, and they don't take responsibility for how they're feeling. Like, my anger is my anger, my sadness is my sadness, my depletion is my depletion, my tiredness is my tiredness. It has nothing to do with the circumstances and life around me. Although some of those things may impact it, the feeling of it is wholly and solely mine.
Yeah, we're constantly giving our
Power.
power away.
Yeah.
We constantly hand over our power, our ability to make change, our ability to stay grounded in ourselves to somebody else, something else, some other vehicle. And we don't take the time we need to understand how to process the information ourselves,
Yeah.
so that we can stay focused and grounded enough to be able to have a great relationship.
And even if it's not you experiencing, like, let's say someone out there says, I feel awkward, you then feel responsible to have to make them feel better. Well, I'm sorry, the last time I checked, you are responsible for how you're feeling, and it's not your job to make anyone else feel or experience life in a different way. And sometimes, actually, if you get involved in that, you actually take away from their growth, their flow, their understanding of themselves, their ability to move through something, rather than actually help them. And I think both
Mm.
things can be true. You can actually, you can make it better for them, but also it's like, well, why? Why
Mm.
wouldn't you let them be with where they're at so that they can flow and move through, and allow them the opportunity to be responsible for how they're feeling? So, like in our relationship, for example, yesterday, I felt emotionally wrecked, felt like my equilibrium was out of whack. I needed to, there's multiple layers and facets as to why. And the why doesn't really matter. I just know that's how I was feeling. And I knew that I needed to, one, have my shower before my kids. Such a strange thing. And I know it sounds strange, but for me as a mom, like, if I have my shower before my kids go to bed, it feels like part of the evening process. If I have it after, it feels like it takes away from my time. Weird, I know, but I am weird, so I'm going to roll with that.
Well, it's not weird from a feminine point of view, though. Feminine's on all day, dealing with stuff all day, especially with the kids and that, and getting things done. So there's that limited amount of time at the end of the day that you have for yourself. That if you manage to get your shower in beforehand, you feel relaxed putting the kids to bed, then you feel relaxed for the evening.
Versus having one more job or one more task to have to do, because I love showering at night, right? And other times it doesn't feel like, ugh. Other times I can actually have it after the kids go to bed, and it feels like I'm taking time for me. But more often than not, if I don't have my shower before they go to bed, it feels like it's taken something away from me. So, one, I made sure that that happened last night. Two, take time to connect with my husband. Blood to my husband last night, because I knew I needed to get in my body and feel. Right? However you choose to do this with your partner is up to you. We chose, like, he gave me a great massage last night. Oh my God. And then we made love. And it was like, I knew I needed to come back home to feel in my body to, and it's not about that. It's not like I used Russell. I used Russell for sex last night. No, it's
It was horrible.
take one for the
God
team.
damn it.
Damn, I'll take that one for the team, right? But like, I know,
Things I put up with in this relationship.
so hard done by. You're just so hard done by. I knew I needed to get back into my body to feel grounded, to come back to equilibrium, to take care of me. And part of that, I needed to connect with my husband, and that just happened to be the vehicle that got, sorry about taking making you take one for the team.
No worries, baby. Oh, I
But
survived.
like, what are the things? If you can go responsible for how you're feeling, if you're angry, it's not because of somebody else that you feel that. There, people do rage bait you. So,
Yeah, yeah.
quote unquote, like, I think that quote for me was like, yeah, we get rage baited, or we get anger baited, or sadness baited, or baited with things that are happening outside of us, and then we make it like we have no power over the next thing that happens. There's no choice.
Yeah, I was thinking about it earlier with hatred. Like hatred is such a strong emotion.
Oh,
It's got so much energy
yeah.
attached to it. And I've created a quote, and the quote was that hatred takes so much of your energy that nobody deserves that much of your energy.
No, it's like
especially,
right?
especially, yes, freedom, especially someone you hate.
Right?
So it's crazy to give, and anger's the same. You know, it takes so much of your energy that nobody deserves that much of your energy. That energy needs to be saved for you, for looking after you, for restocking you. So the more we give out of that, and we blame it on someone else, we have no power. And then something else you mentioned there that made me think of it is when you're doing, I can't remember what you said, but there's the drama triangle we get stuck in a relationship, which is the rescuer, the victim, and the persecutor. And we get stuck in one of those three places. They're all actually a victim role.
They're all bad. They're all not great.
Yeah, none of them
No
are great. We want to
superior.
get out of that, and we want to get to a place of being able to support our partner, being able to be there, hold space. But what happens when we're giving away this anger, when we're getting caught in that cycle that I think you're talking about, is we're allowing our, if you like, it's not an inner sanctuary, I know, but imagine it is an inner sanctuary. We're allowing our inner sanctuary to be corrupted by an external
invaded
force. Yeah, exactly.
Right, it's being invaded and taken over. And I think we become to the mercy of what's happening outside of ourselves, instead of going, hang on a second, excuse me, can I love me right now? Can I take care of me right now? What does me actually need right now? Not what is, like, let's just use Russell. What is Russell doing to me right now that's making me feel this? Or not, oh, Russell didn't clean the kitchen, that just pissed me off. He's making me be pissed off right now, even though that made me feel like that in the moment. But what does me need right now? Well, sometimes in that moment, the me needs to clean the kitchen, because then I can go to sleep and rest and then have another conversation with them. Sometimes the me needs to just leave it and walk away and trust that somebody else, him or somebody else, will manage it.
And I think with the kitchen, you know, as an example, you know, yeah, it is good, and it's perfect for our relationship, you know, because ultimately, you know, I may complain in some areas I lack discipline. I may complain I lack motivation in some areas, and I may complain that I procrastinate and put things off. But one thing I seem to be really excellent at is not doing what we need to do to clean the kitchen. I seem to have that discipline down to an art. I never stop doing that. I always manage to make sure I don't clean the kitchen.
But how good is it actually recently? Because this is what's cool. So we're living in his sister's house. There's multiple adults in the house at the moment. But he said to me recently, because I may not have known, and the reality is I didn't know. He said, have you realized that I've actually been actively putting my dishes in the dishwasher? And I hadn't, not because I didn't notice him. It just, I hadn't, there's too many outside, like there's too many other factors that, whether it was him or somebody else, I have no idea.
And it's hard to notice the absence of a dish as well.
Yeah,
you notice when it's not there.
Yeah,
when it is there, but you don't notice it when it's not.
And if it was just in our home, I totally would have noticed, right? But we're not in our home at the moment, so it's like I didn't notice. But I was so appreciative that he actually told me that, and I said, no, I didn't, but thank you so much for doing it. Even though I might not have noticed it made a difference, it does make a difference, because it means he's doing good, because he knows the impact that has on me, which, whether I've noticed or not, is not the point. The point is like it has an impact on my nervous system.
And I know it seems like a little thing, and you're going, well, how can he not put his dish in the dishwasher? But somehow for me, it just seems to make more sense to put it on the counter. And then later on, somebody else or me will load the dishwasher. I guess normally someone else, but sometimes I do it too, right? But it seems like a small thing, but it's just, I have to remember, and I have to remind myself, okay, don't leave this on the counter, put it in the dishwasher, and then someone else doesn't have to do it.
Well, I think it's kind of in line with what we're talking about too, because it's a different level of standard. There's nothing wrong with Russell's standard of putting it on the bench, and there's nothing wrong with my standard of wanting it in the dishwasher. Both things are actually valid and work together and have a place. He's not wrong and I'm right, and I'm not right and he's wrong. Like, that's just not the case. The case is both things actually are valid, and both things can get communicated. And then both people have the opportunity to rectify, if they can, rectify that as a thing
Mm.
in the relationship. And I think oftentimes we think, well, like you guys will be listening to this and some of you will be on Team Gail. Like the fucking dishwasher's right there, Gail. Seriously, why the can't they put it in the dishwasher? Or like leaving an empty container on the bench when the bin is right there. Like those two things, like I see red. Russell may or may not have that standard. And for him, it's not a big deal. Some of you would be Team Russell. Like it isn't a big deal. Whoever is the person who feels like they're able, can do it, feels like it's time to do it, then that's when it happens. And neither one is right. And I think I want you to get that as the point, that neither is right. Both things are valid and both things have a place. And if you can't actually understand both people and their standards, if you like, or what is important to them, then that in itself will cause World War III.
See, I think in a relationship, what happens is I don't do it to goad or annoy or upset her.
No.
But it can have that effect.
Yeah.
And I think that's what she's talking about when she's saying about taking back your power. So if I'm doing that all the time, if I'm leaving a plate out, if I'm not cleaning up the kitchen,
and then I'm getting pissed off, irritated, agitated, seeing red, all that, if I'm feeling all those things, Russell's not the cause of my feeling those things. His leaving the dishes is creating a space for me to grow.
And when you look at it like that, when you look at it like that, it's like obvious. You can see it's obvious I'm the trigger for it.
Yeah.
But there's no amount of dirty kitchen could make her angry. Dirty kitchen is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. So what me doing that is causing the trigger.
And then my journey becomes, okay, how can I, Gail, be okay with the state of the kitchen no matter what? And like it is actually funny enough. I know it may sound comical to you guys, but it is an area I've had to go to work on because I have been somebody who sees red, who will absolutely lose my shit when I walk into the kitchen. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like
I don't think it's comical. I think it's an often problem for many women specifically.
Like I think it goes either which way.
I think it does. I think that, but the majority is you find the woman.
Not always, but still, like I have to go to work on that. So I have two choices in that. I can, surrender to the anger, the frustration, the pissed offness, the seeing red, and be with that, or I can choose something else. And I can also choose both of them. I can see red, then ask myself the question, hey, what does Gail need right? Like what does me need right now? What do I need right now? And sometimes, like literally, I can take off my rings, put on the kitchen gloves, pop some music in, and I'm quite content zoning out in my own little zone. I do it when I hang out the washing actually too. Those are two places where I can pop in my headphones and it's actually me time. I actually shut out the rest of the world. And so
two things. Sorry, will you remember what you're going to say?
No, I have to finish this one. So the fact that Russell has left the dishes, so to speak, or whoever's left the dishes, allows me the opportunity to take 5, 10, however many minutes it takes me for myself. So I have two options. I can see it as like he's, rage baiting me by leaving the damn dishes on the counter. Or I can go like, actually, it's actually an opportunity for me to go, hey, Gail, what do you need right now? Well, Gail needs right now to like lock and load and, chill vibes. Take minutes. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that she's funny when she's doing I can't stand hanging out the washing. I don't know how anyone does it. It would go straight in the dryer for me. I just don't know how they do it. I'm in awe. Every time I see her hanging out the washing, I'm like, but with the washing up, I don't mind so much. I'll do the washing up, but sometimes I go to do the washing up and Gail's like pushing me out the way. No, this is my time with my headphones, my space. I want to hear it. So that happens just as you're talking about a washing up. You do take minutes there. But I was the thing, I think the tools that we use in a relationship to communicate is the key here. And the tools that we use to let go of stuff is the key. So we have if you don't have the tools to put things down and let go of things, then what's going to happen is as soon as you be a tool in a relationship, you do. As soon as your partner does something wrong or that you don't like or that's difficult, you don't have the tools to deal with it. So you're going to end up in a state of anger, a state of pissed offness, a state of rage even. And what happens then is it doesn't actually clean the kitchen.
No.
If that state of rage cleaned the kitchen, I'd say go for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually inspire anything in the relationship. It doesn't create anything in the relationship.
It just creates internal turmoil.
Yeah, turmoil. So it's really the only there are no benefits with being angry and upset if someone didn't do that.
Mm.
The benefit comes when you start looking at it yourself, start being able to come back to who you are and heal that anger wound,
Yeah.
or whatever that wound is, which we call a child wound of some description. I mean, ultimately we go back to these 12 childhood wounds, or the type of these 12 childhood wounds. And whenever you feel anger, you can always relate them to one of these wounds.
Yeah.
So, or a version of one of these wounds. But for example, let's just say that the kitchen's not clean. She comes in, she sees it there. Then she's going to get angry. Then she may well be able to just breathe and take a moment and say, we like the phrase little Gail or little Russell is not coping. What are you not coping with, little Gail or little Russell?
And you all know these feelings, right? It's like there's a movement in the body, and like an unsettledness. It can be anger, it can just be a stirring up of emotion. Something's happening internally, some triggeration has happened.
And so just to listen to those 12 wounds, or a version of those 12 wounds for yourself, so you can get a list of them. And anyone that wants them, just DM us, send us a message. We'll send you a picture of the 12 wounds. We give them out to everybody. Keep them in our forefront of our own mind as well, on our phone. Yeah. So unimportant, disregarded, devalued, disrespected, worthless, unfairly treated or accused, taken for granted, not considered, abandoned or rejected, inadequate, unlovable, or powerless. So a version of one of them is going on, or more than one. Yeah. And that's what's really happening when you come in, you see the kitchen, you see I've left the dishes, I haven't done the cleaning up, whatever it might be. And so what we're talking about here is taking back your own power in this position, in this place, so that you can ground yourself, come back to the relationship entity, what your focus is, your commitment is for the relationship. Come back to the self-actualization, what your focus is, what your commitment is for yourself in this situation.
Yeah.
Come back to the connection. What connection are you wanting to keep alive with your partner? What connection are you wanting to keep alive with yourself? Come back to the communication. How do I want to communicate this? How do I want to be able to communicate this with my partner in a way moving forward that may make a difference to get to the place where I've had this sensational breakthrough of being able to put my own bowl in the dishwasher? So if I can do that, God, anything is possible. So how do we want to communicate it to create that breakthrough, to create that way moving forward? And then finally, the important part in a relationship is the masculine and feminine state. Is she going to stay in her feminine state to release, purge, share the experience?
And I think that's pertinent right now. It'd be interesting to go, like, because I'll explain why we do it from a feminine point of view. So like while I'm doing that, Russell, if you could actually consider what is the space that men have to go through, because it'd be slightly different. But for women, I talk about purging, and what you're doing is you're actually like creating space inside. So the moment you can actually take ownership and responsibility for whatever the feeling might be that you're feeling, sadness, anger, pissed offness, rage, happiness, joy, all of them, even the good ones, right? But the moment you allow yourself to feel them and move through them, they're no longer taking space inside your body, right? Like, so if you think of it like your body as this like mechanism that if you aren't feeling the feels, like if you aren't feeling your feelings, right? Your body, they're all trapped inside and there's no space. So at some point they're going to come out at times where you don't want them to come out. And what you're doing and why you want to continually as a woman and for the feminine state is to purge, and you want to continually do spring cleans, not just wait till springtime to do the spring clean, but on an ongoing regular basis allow yourself to purge, is because then what you do is you create space. You create space inside you for something different. You're not holding it all together and holding inside this container wondering, oh my gosh, am I going to like cry, or am I going to lose my shit with the wrong person? Right? You know that you've got the space to be able to deal with and move through when an event arises, because an event is going to arise, whether it's in your relationship, with somebody in your life. Things are going to happen in life. And if you are continually taking care of self and purging and creating space from a feminine point of view, then what you're actually doing is you're creating space so that in those moments you're not bracing for impact. You've created a gap so that you are your best version to be able to deal and manage with whatever the next thing might be, because stuff is going to keep happening on a rolling basis, and you either purge it and create space, or you're shoving it all in, and at some point you're going to reach capacity and be satiated on the inside and going to definitely need a ring out, and it's going to happen at times that you least expected. So from a masculine point of view, Russell, the question I have there is what is the space that you guys are creating internally, and what might that look and feel like different to, say, the feminine?
In relation to the kitchen and the anger, or the being upset, or in relation to the woman purging, sharing her emotions?
Yeah, so what is the male equivalent? Because like men can't hold everything internal in their bodies either. That would cause problems for them, but it doesn't look like purging for them. I definitely know that. What would that look and feel like for a man?
Yeah, I think in a relationship, it's being open and sharing our emotions, sharing how we're feeling.
Both things in a relationship and for yourself, because they're both things are important.
Yeah, I think, I don't know how that would come across for a man. I think taking time for us, recharging our batteries, doing something that's purely like a recharge situation is important.
How are you releasing, like, so anger is like often like how do you release the stop cork, if you like, from keeping it all inside?
I think you have to be able to acknowledge it. You have to be able to, and for a man, it's always, a lot of it is about ownership. You have to be able to take ownership of your feelings.
Yeah, I think that's the human side, right? Because we were talking about ownership and responsibility. So I think for both people, I've definitely framed it up from a feminine point of view, because it forms part of Fun Fab Flowing, the feminine. But for men, it is the ownership and responsibility, accountability as well.
Yeah, we don't have a need to get the emotions out like that, to feel that we're in our masculine state, but we do have to not suppress them. So we do have to have some sort of outlet for them. We want somebody, like every human being, we want to be listened to, we want to be gotten, we want to be understood. I think maybe part of the question, that the stumbling block for me, is I've spent so many years with a coach, in some sort of therapy, in some sort of growth. So we really need a safe space to be able to talk and express ourselves.
And your partner may be that, and there may be other people. So I guess it is like, who is your safe space?
I create an alliance in the men's work that I do, which is an alliance of men where they feel safe to share their feelings and emotions and their experiences. Because you see, for a man, that's not normal. They've been told to not share their emotions, their experiences. They've been told to toughen up. They've been told to not cry. They've been told to know how to do things. And they think that sharing is weakness. They think that saying how they feel is weakness. So you need some sort of outlet where you have a group that you can share with, where you have your partner you can share with, where you have a coach you can share with. So that is how I would do it individually if you're not in a relationship. If you're in a relationship, you need to set up the parameters. You need to set up guidelines so that you can make sure that I'm present for her when she's purging her emotions. Make sure I'm there for her. Because you see, even as I'm listening to this whole thing, what's going to happen is, the minute she tells me about the kitchen, there's going to be like, there's something wrong. I'm not good enough. She's complaining. She's criticizing. This can't work. And it's going to be like a little mantra that goes on.
And I think as well for the women as well, when I'm working with them as well, it's the key components for both men and women is the responsibility, accountability, and taking ownership for how you're feeling. So like, even if I'm pissed off at Russell for leaving shit all in the kitchen, like, and it's going to sound like, geez, you really left the kitchen a mess, like, what the heck was going on, like, that really pissed me off, made me angry, made me see red, whatever the words might be. I've got to be responsible for how I felt in that, and he's got to be responsible for listening to me, and then decide whether he wants to take that on, or can he just hold space and be there while I vomit that out. Like, and that becomes, I think, the choice time in the actual intimate relationship container, is that both people need the space to be able to share. And then it is like, like I know that I'm responsible for it. Like, I'm responsible for how I feel. And sometimes it's not going to come out as like, oh man, like the kitchen just pissed me off today. It might be like, well, you did blah, and it's going to come out like that. So, and I think it is that balancing act. And I think that comes down to, you know, what parameters and how have you actually set up your relationship? Like, do you feel like in your relationship you can communicate at a level where, like, so if you're me, for example, at the moment, I can say all of the things how I say it, and I know that Russell will hold space, even though he might get triggered and he might get um, defensive, or his shit might show up, or he might react in a crappy way, which sometimes he does, and vice versa. Oh, I'd have to ask him, and vice versa. I would hope that he feels like, even though I may react or respond, or like however I show up in that moment, it doesn't mean I didn't not hear it. It means both things are happening simultaneously, right? So I don't know, like, how does that? Because for me, I know that no, I guess at the end of the day, I know that no matter what, we're gonna work through it together. So even if I don't deliver it in a way that he can hear it without getting triggered, if he gets triggered too, if we both get triggered in those moments, like, I know we're gonna work through it together. There's never a time where I don't feel like we're gonna come back together.
Yeah, and it doesn't always look perfect, guys. So just take a note of this as well. It doesn't have to look perfect.
No, I think that's worse.
Yeah, it can be messy. Relationships can be messy. Communication can be messy. We don't always say what we mean, and what we say isn't always taken the way we meant it.
Yeah, it's not always heard the way that it was intended, and then you might react and then not know why you're reacting. It's like, well, why are you reacting? Well, then you're in the reaction of it, and you're like, I need to. Then you just walk away, and you need space and time. But I guess you have to trust that, like, your communication is a level that, like, it doesn't matter what gets said, that you're always coming back to each other. And I think that comes down to the ultimate commitment you've made inside your intimate relationship is, do you know that, like, I know, and I'll ask Russell to answer for himself, I know inside my relationship that we will work through and deal with whatever might show up, no matter how big, bad, or ugly it is. And there's never a fear that that won't be the case. So, what is that for you?
Yeah, I think that's accurate, you know, and I think it just highlights the problem that people are having in relationships is that there's very little honest, open communication. Because too much withheld stuff, and we always talk about this as being one of the major blocks. And it's, you know, I'm constantly coaching people that are asking, how do I do this or say this, because the foundation hasn't been laid. So we might lay that foundation even as like, look, I got something I got to say, and I don't know how it's going to land, and I haven't like edited it, and I'm really concerned that it's going to land badly. But can you just be there to get this communication for me, because I just want to get it out. Because
or even the one, like, I think recently when we were in Italy, for example, like, we work, and we're obviously in a relationship and we work together, and like, for me, I needed Russell to start to distinguish when he wants to have a work conversation versus it be like there are times where what we're talking about in a work related conversation can trigger like the relationship side of things, right? But I asked him, I said, can you actually like introduce, like, okay, this is a work conversation. Okay, logically, ladies, I actually know it's a work conversation, but emotionally, he's my husband. So, but when he actually actively says this is a work conversation, I don't feel the triggeration the way that I do when it's not introduced. So, like, that was a really great time where we had to actually like actively, you know, I had to actively ask for what I want, and you had to actively deliver.
So there's 100 insights in that one conversation, really. But you know, that really highlights what we're saying here. We've actually had that conversation, argument, disagreement quite a lot in our relationship, because it comes up a lot. Because I feel we're often having a work, we're having a work conversation. All of a sudden, Gail's saying to me, "Well, you haven't asked me how I feel," and I'm like, "Well, I don't. It's not. I don't care how you feel, but it's not relevant. We're having a business conversation." So I think even just highlighting that, it was one simple distinction, but it's made a massive difference. So
how many simple distinctions do you need to clarify in your relationship, in your worlds, that, like, if you had clarity and a distinction there, it would clean up a lot of the stuff. And it really does.
Yeah, and so don't settle, I think, is, you know, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna sit down and nut it out one way or another. We're gonna work it out one way or another.
No matter how crazy he drives me, right? Like, some days I'm like, oh my fucking God, seriously, what the heck? And, you know, it doesn't matter. It's like, I know that it's all going to be figure outable. Everything in our relationship is figure outable. And I think that's the thing that gets missed, I think, for a lot of people. And they think that it's on the responsibilities over there, but the responsibilities with you. If you if I know within myself that I'm going to show up, I'm going to be in this relationship, and no matter what, I'm going to figure it out, and he knows that he's going to be that, then the relationship becomes a space where we work together to figure it out.
And I think what going back to our initial topic we were talking about is like with the kitchen and that, I think that's really highlighted how you form a working method, something that you can get hold of. And what that looks like, and what it looks like in our relationship, is I leave the kitchen in a mess. Gail sees the kitchen in a mess, feels the anger come up, and instead of approaching me with the anger, starts to look at herself and go, what do I need to do for myself right now in order to own that, understand it, be calm, be true to who I want to be for myself and for the relationship, and respectfully for my partner.
And because at the end of the day, if I just react and unleash the beast and be angry over there with Russell, that ultimately is not serving me. And that doesn't feel good for me. Never mind the impact on Russell for the moment, right? Emotionally, that doesn't feel good for me. So the taking the pause, taking a breath, and then choosing, what does Gail need? What do I need right now? Gives me space to take care of me, which ultimately has a flow-on effect over there. Because if I unleash the beast, that's not good for anyone, right? It's not good for me, and it's not good for the relationship. So I think that's the point, is that the moment you can take ownership for your accountability, and be responsible for how you feel, you give yourself back great power to be able to make a difference with yourself, to love yourself, and then to be able to show up differently in your world, in your relationship, at work, in your family environment, like whatever the world might be, with your kids. Like the same thing is true no matter which relationship you're relating it to. Is like when you go back to your feelings, feel your feelings, and ask yourself the question, what do I need right now? Inherently what happens is you take your power back.
Yeah. And so if you're doing some version of so you're saying I just have to put up with a dirty kitchen, what I just have to let them do this that I don't like, what I just have to do is, we have a whole thing, the behavioral change request. But if you're doing some version of that, don't do that. This is not what this is about.
It's not. Don't pollinate.
This is about your own inner peace, your own inner sanctuary, your own ability to create your own wisdom and learn your own wisdom.
And here's the kicker. The moment I ask me what I need in that moment, and I take my power back, I am much more powerful to make change and influence over there. Not manipulate and control, but to influence and go, hey babe, like I can't even, like, I want to be able to create a beautiful meal, and I want to be able to come into the kitchen, and I want us to be able to be healthy and eat the things we love. And, you know, for you not just have bread on toast, no bread, cheese, bread. For you to not have to have cheese and bread be the 3 meals a day, right? Like, because he would be quite content with that, right? But that's not me, right? But then I can communicate that in a way that he goes, oh shit, yeah, no, I had no idea. Or he sees it from a different perspective, or understands, like, I have, like, and he has said this, I have no attention on the kitchen whatsoever, because I don't cook in there, because I'm not the primary cooker or the getter of stuff. And so to go and get bread and a slice of cheese makes no difference to him if the kitchen is clean or not. But for me, who wants to turn out a beautiful meal, because I want my family to experience that, it does make a difference. And both things
yes,
both things create connection. By him understanding I'm not a bread and cheese kind of girl, although I do like a toasted sandwich, but I'm not a bread and cheese kind of girl like he talks about, and me understanding he is the bread and cheese kind of guy, it creates an and relationship. It connects us further. It brings more intimacy. It allows us to be individually powerful within ourselves and create an awesome relationship.
And if you don't allow yourself to get taken away by the triggers, if you like, the anger, the pissed offness, the partner, when you realize you're on the same side, and you can come at it from wow, babe, you know, I've asked you before about the plate, and you keep leaving it there,
Mm.
and you know what it does. I don't like it, and that it allows a conversation
Mm.
to open up where the other person doesn't feel attacked,
Yeah.
and that's where things are going to get solved.
When then it creates space, like if I don't feel like I'm constantly having to manage that, because that's how it sometimes occurs for me, then I make tea, like a cup of tea for Russell, which he loves, by the way.
I love it when she makes me.
Like if I'm having to manage that all the time and he never, for example, puts the dish in the dishwasher, I don't feel like I have capacity within myself to do loving things like, and not that I'm not taking love away either, but to do extra loving things like make him a cup of tea.
Yeah. I mean, the better we get at the communication, the better we get at the connection, the more
Exactly.
willing we both are
Yeah.
to support each other and serve each other. So it works both ways, right?
So key points. Where can you take accountability, ownership, and be responsible for how you're feeling, and choose and ask the next question, which is what do I need right now? And then who do I want to be in the next moment for you? First and foremost, for you. Don't worry about over there just yet. First and foremost, who do you want to be and show up for you? And can I be responsible for how I'm feeling? So if your partner's pissed you off, the kids are driving you crazy, your boss is being a dick, whatever the things are, whatever your triggerations are, and the people that are giving you a hard time, quote unquote, in life, ask yourself, what do I need for me right now? Take your power back and go, I can actually be and feel however I want to feel if I stop, pause, and allow myself the space to either move through the feeling and feel the feeling and allow it to pass through, or I can breathe and ask myself what I need and have myself feel that, take a moment for myself, and then communicate in a much more powerful way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for being with us today, guys.
Yeah.